All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday, January the 14th, or not January, July the 14th. It's a beautiful day outside, but it's gonna be hot. So take precautions, drink lots of water, and take care of yourself today. You know, this morning I want to talk about one of these, a mule. You know, there are a lot of similarities between us and mules, but not so much maybe in this story. But there's a story of a farmer who owned an old mule. Well, this mule fell into the farmer's well, and it wasn't a good well, it wasn't a deep well. And the farmer heard the mule out there, and he was braying or whatever it is, you know, that mules do when they're in trouble, because obviously this mule was in big trouble. Well, the farmer went out, and after carefully assessing the situation, he sympathized with the mule, but he decided that neither the mule nor the well was worth the trouble to save. And they both weren't very valuable to him. So instead, he called his neighbors together and told them what had happened. He enlisted them to help him haul dirt and just to bury the old mule in the well, put him out of his misery, and finally fill this old well up that had been giving him so much trouble. Well, you know, the first shovel full of dirt came down and hit the mule right in the face, and he was hysterical. He was beside himself, but he finally calmed down to think. Now, as the farmer and his neighbors continued to shovel dirt down on his back, a thought struck the old mule. It suddenly dawned on him that every time a shovel load of dirt would land on his back, he could just shake it off and it would land on the bottom of the well. And if he did this long enough, eventually he'd be able to step up. So, this is what he did. Blow after blow, shovel after shovel, they kept dumping the dirt down there on top of him, and he would shake it off. Another shovel would come down and shake it off, shake it off. Eventually he was able to shake it off and step up a little bit. They would shovel another shovel full of dirt down there, and he would shake it off and he would step up. He continued to encourage himself, no matter how painful, you know, the dirt was landing on him. And it was a very distressing situation, you know, to the old mule. And he fought the panic and he fought the hurt, and he just kept shaking it off and stepping up. And it wasn't long before the old mule was battered and exhausted, but he stepped up triumphantly over the edge of the well. That dirt that seemed like it would bury him actually worked out in his favor. All because of the way he handled his adversity. Now, sometimes I wonder how things would have turned out differently in my life if I had taken a different approach. But now, you know, after years and years of adversity and learning how to react and take care of things, I've come up with 3 things that I do now when I'm faced with trying or frustrating circumstances. Sometimes those circumstances are people, okay? So let's just get that out of the way right now. But there are 3 things that I do. Number 1 is I stop. You know, our first inclination is to react immediately, and sometimes we react without thinking through the consequences or how it's going to affect other people around us. And during this stop, and you know, this may just be for a few seconds, I also find it's very effective to take a few deep breaths, you know, in through your nose and out through your mouth. You know, if we're ever having a conversation and you see me stop and take a deep breath and hold it a second and then blow it out, you might understand what kind of conversation that we're having. Of course, you probably already know that, but breathing deeply And stopping gets that oxygen into your system so your brain can actually think. Think before you do something that you'll regret. Number one, stop. Number two, it's good for us to establish the outcome that we want. While we're stopped and while we're thinking, it's good to think about what it is that we want when we get to the other side of this conversation. It may be that you just don't want to lose your temper. That'd be a great thing. It may be that you want to find out what it is the other person wants so you can help them. It's important. Unless you establish the outcome you want, you have given your brain nothing to work towards. Our minds, believe it or not, some of you discount yourself a lot, but our minds are very clever when you give it something to work towards. Now, we all know people that never know what they're going to say next. Well, the truth is that they don't either. Don't be that person. Think about what you're going to say. You know, one of the most encouraging things that I see when I'm having a conversation with somebody is when they stop and they think about what they're going to say. And I think to myself, now this person is being thoughtful. Establish the outcome that you desire. And then the third thing that we can do is don't push. Don't push people or circumstances or situations. This was a very, very hard lesson for me to learn. Sometimes I wonder, if I really have learned it. Now, this is going to sound a little crude, but relationships sometimes are like gas. And if you have to force it, it's probably going to turn out to be something you didn't expect and something you didn't want. You might think, there's no use in trying to salvage this relationship. But maybe you can be the catalyst for the change in your relationship. What if you didn't push, and that was the one thing that saved the relationship between you and the person you're having trouble with? The other thing that not pushing does is it gives you more time to think as you work your way through the conversation. Have you ever felt like you were being pushed into something by somebody? Yes. We've all felt that way. And it doesn't feel good, does it? No. We all understand that it's better and it's easier to draw a person to our way of thinking rather than pushing them into something that they don't want. Try this next time you're in a difficult argument or a conversation with someone. It might just work. Be that mule stuck in a well, and people are throwing dirt on you, and their intent is to bury you. But stop, think, shake it off, and dig and climb your way out. 3 steps. Number 1, stop. Think about. Number 2, establish the outcome that you want. You'll never go anywhere with anything in life unless you know where you're going. And number 3, don't push. Draw it along towards your way of thinking. Man, I hope you all have a great day. Go out there and make it great. Make somebody's life better, including yours. Anyway, I love you. And if you felt like this was of any value to you, share it with your friends. And I'll see you Thursday with another message of encouragement and hope. Love y'all. Take care.